So guys, it is OA Wallach here, and today we are going to be constructing a new exhibit for Tycoon Marine Mania. We're going to start off here with a relatively good sized exhibit. Actually, no we're not. We're going to start off with a better space for this exhibit. Moving on over here. We're going to start with a relatively large space next to the elephant seal exhibit we've created. We're going to go with an above ground type exhibit for this one. We want the animals to be thoroughly on display. As you see, I'm going to change this later. I'm going to decide against this because I have to create land for the marine otter. So the next clip it's going to be down. Here we are. We've constructed the fence around it, and we're trying to get the exhibit suited for the otters here. Going to add some seaweed, I believe, and a lot of that, and then we're going to proceed to add some rocks later on. We keep adding the foliage here. We were going to notice later on that these animals are going to need mates, so be sure to include mates for them. It increases the happiness and suitability for the exhibit. For otters, you're going to need to use gray stone terrain as well as salt water. You don't need a very high fence, just something solid. I wouldn't advise stick pole, anything above that, so chain link and on up. I've chosen to use plexiglass here just for the visual element so all of the younger guests can see around the exhibit. And we're also going to be sure to include that buffer zone later on around the exhibit, featuring the paths. Here we're just checking our suitability. There's still some things I need to touch up here. And we're just doing some corrections as far as assignments of this exhibit. For these terrestrial animals, you're going to need to have a zookeeper instead of a marine specialist. And so you see I've added the rocks here, as I talked about earlier. They tend to prefer a rockier exhibit, so we're going to give that to them. Otherwise, they're doing pretty well here. It's going to add a mate or two for these animals. We have a lot of females, so we're going to add a few males. With most animals, I'll add one male and two females to increase the greatest chance of breeding. But with these, I've chosen to add pairs because they tend to do better. They're a pack animal. And here we're going to add the paths I was talking about with that buffer zone. There's the benches and the trash cans I always like to add. Keeps the zoo cleaner, and it allows the guests to be more comfortable, and they'll stay in the zoo longer. Here we're adding some exhibit signs. I tend to put a lot of exhibit signs. It simply adds more donations to your zoo. And as you can see, we're pretty much done with the exhibit now, and we're just adding aesthetic things. Here we're choosing to replace the concrete with a plexiglass view area. And we're going to add two of those, just so the guests can see into the exhibit further. From this point, we're going to begin beautifying the zoo a little more. We're going to add a restroom, a marine restroom here. As soon as I can find it. Oh, there we go. We're going to go right down to marine restroom. And we're going to add it right in the corner. You want to have these spaced somewhat sporadically throughout the zoo. If guests can't find a restroom, they're going to get severely angry. So it's just a good practice to place them early on, sporadically, when you have space, and that way you can fill up around it. We're going to add a little flower garden here to fill up this negative space. When you have areas that you can't necessarily put an exhibit in, what I recommend you do is either beautify the area like I'm doing now, or you can later make a smaller food court. It's not as aesthetically pleasing, but it gets the job done. We're going to add a fisherman statue here. I'm going to add some flowers around it. Then I choose to encase my landscaping with a decorative fence. You can choose to do whatever you like. I think it looks best and it keeps the guests out of trouble. Then we're going to connect this to our other section of path here, and just add a buffer zone as well. I'm going to go with the wrought iron fence here. Normally I go with rope and chain, but since this is a private garden area here, I'm just going to block this off. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment, rate, subscribe if you'd like to see any future videos. Thanks, and shout out to Unexplained Chaos. And have a good one, guys. Thanks.